somewhere above the Arctic Circle, where most places have learned to be flat and cold and grey. The sea does something that the sea is not supposed to do. It grows mountains. Not behind mountains, not near mountains, from the mountains. From the ocean floor, through the surface of the water, into the Arctic sky, straight up, without apology, without the usual geographical courtesies, the beaches, the plains, the foothills that most landscapes use to introduce themselves. This is Lofoten. An archipelago of islands off the northwest coast of Norway, above the Arctic Circle, where the landscape does not follow the rules that landscapes are supposed to follow, where mountains and ocean occupy exactly the same space, where the light, the particular, low, golden Arctic light, makes everything it touches look as though it was painted by someone who had never seen anything ugly and could not have imagined it. And in this landscape that photographers travel across the world to see, that painters have tried to capture for 2 centuries, that seems to have been designed specifically to make the human eye stop and pay attention. People live. Ordinary people, doing ordinary things, in the most beautiful place in the world. By the end of this journey, you will have seen a place that most people only see in photographs, and you will understand why the people who live here look at those photographs and quietly smile. Because the photographs do not do it justice. Nothing does. Lofoten should not look the way it looks. At 68 degrees north latitude, the world is supposed to be flat and frozen and brown. Every other landmass at this distance, from the equator northern Siberia, the interior of Greenland, the north slope of Alaska, looks exactly as you would expect. Tundra, permafrost, the grey patience of a landscape waiting for a warmth that never quite arrives. Lofoten is green. In summer, wildflowers grow on the slopes above the fjords. Grass covers the lower hillsides. The water in the sheltered bays is clear enough to see the bottom at 20 feet. The reason is the Gulf Stream, that vast river of warm water flowing northeast from the Gulf of Mexico across the Atlantic and along the Norwegian coast. It raises the temperature of Lofoten 10 to 15 degrees Celsius above what its latitude should allow. Lofoten is, climatically, an anomaly, a warm island in a cold sea, a green place above the Arctic Circle, a landscape of extraordinary beauty in a latitude that the rest of the world has written off as inhospitable, and the mountains. The mountains that rise from the sea are not volcanic, not glacial, not the product of any recent geological event. They are ancient. The rock that forms the Lofoten Peaks is among the oldest exposed bedrock on the surface of the Earth, some of it 3 billion years old. 3 billion years. For context, the dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago. The Atlantic Ocean itself is only about 200 million years old. The rock under your feet in Lofoten was already ancient when the Atlantic was born. The villages of Lofoten were not placed for the view. They were placed for survival. Every village in the archipelago sits at the same type of location, a narrow strip of flat land between the mountain and the sea, a sheltered bay that calms the ocean swells, a natural harbor where boats can land even in winter storms. The people who built here were not thinking about aesthetics. They were thinking about the fish. The red cabins, roerboer, that line the waterfronts of every Lofoten village are not decorative. They were built on stilts over the water so that fishermen could step directly from their sleeping quarters onto their boats in the dark of winter mornings without walking through snow. The red color is not a design choice. It is iron oxide mixed into the paint, the cheapest pigment available in the 18th century and the most durable in the salt air. Everything about these villages was built for function, and the result, by pure accident of utility, is one of the most beautiful collections of human habitation anywhere on Earth. Every January, something extraordinary happens in the waters around Lofoten. The cod arrive. Arctic cod, scry, spending most of the year in the cold waters of the Barents Sea, swim 2,000 miles southwest to the waters around Lofoten to spawn. They have been making this journey for 10,000 years, since before any human being had ever seen these islands. At the peak of the traditional fishery, in the early 20th century, more than 30,000 fishermen traveled from across Norway to Lofoten every January. They lived in the roerboer, those red cabins over the water. 12 men to a room sometimes, sleeping in shifts, fishing in all weather, in darkness and in cold, and in the knowledge that what they brought home would feed their families for the rest of the year. The cod they caught was not eaten fresh. It was split, cleaned, and hung on enormous wooden frames, gel, to dry in the Arctic wind for 3 to 4 months. The cold Arctic air, the low humidity, the particular temperature range of a Lofoten spring, these conditions produce a drying process that no industrial method has ever replicated. The result is stockfish, turfisk, a product so dense in protein, so stable without refrigeration, so preserved against decay, that it can be stored for years and still be eaten. For 500 years, stockfish from Lofoten was the primary source of protein for much of southern Europe. The sailors of Portugal and Spain who crossed the Atlantic in the 15th and 16th centuries carried Lofoten stockfish in their holds. Columbus almost certainly ate Lofoten cod on his voyage to the Americas. The armies of Napoleon, the monasteries of Italy, all of them sustained, in some part, by a fish caught in the cold waters of this archipelago. There is a reason that Lofoten has attracted painters for 200 years. It is the light. At 68 degrees north, the sun never rises high in the sky. Even at midsummer, even at noon, the sun moves in a low arc that keeps it close to the horizon. And light that travels at a low angle through more atmosphere than light coming from overhead. That light is different. The wavelengths scatter differently. The shadows fall at angles that don't exist in places further from the poles. The colors shift toward gold and rose and violet in ways that the human eye recognizes as extraordinary without being able to explain why. In summer, the sun does not set. The midnight sun of Lofoten runs from late May to late July. 60 days when the sun circles the sky without touching the horizon. The light at midnight is the light of a long summer afternoon. Golden, warm, raking across the landscape at an angle that makes everything look like a painting. People who experience their first midnight sun in Lofoten describe the same disorientation. Time stops making sense. You go to bed in sunlight. You wake up in sunlight. The clock says 3 a.m. and the world looks like 6 p.m. And in winter, when the sun stays below the horizon for weeks at a time, something else appears. The blue hour. For 2 hours around midday, the sky turns a shade of blue that has no equivalent in any other natural phenomenon. The Norwegians call it blåtimen. The blue hour. But Lofoten is also a place of action. It is one of the best places in Europe to climb. The most famous route is called Svolværgøyta, the Svolvær Goat, a two-peaked summit where the gap between the points is about 6 feet. Climbers come from across the world to stand on one peak and jump to the other. Then there are the surfers. At Unstad, waves from the open Atlantic break over a beach surrounded by mountains. It is the northernmost surfing beach in the world. The water temperature in February is 37 degrees Fahrenheit. The surfers wear dry suits and hoods, riding waves in the blue hour light, with snow on the beach behind them. Lofoten has another face. Not the golden midnight sun, not the blue hour, not the mirror-flat fjords that make the photographs, the storms. The Norwegian Sea is one of the roughest bodies of water in the world. When the autumn low-pressure systems roll in from the North Atlantic, the waves they build break against the western faces of the Lofoten Islands with a force that shakes the ground. Waves of 40 feet, wind speeds of hurricane force, sea spray carried inland over the mountain ridges to fall as salt rain on the sheltered fjords on the other side. And in the middle of all of this, in the red cabins on the waterfronts, the lights are on. Dinner is being made. Children are doing homework. Someone is looking out the window at the storm and thinking about the boats. The fishermen of Lofoten have been going out into these waters in January and February for 1,000 years, in open wooden boats at first, then in decked vessels. Now in modern trawlers with GPS and sonar and satellite weather. The technology changed. The sea did not. The Norwegian Sea in February is exactly what it has always been, beautiful and dangerous in exactly equal measure. And the relationship the people of Lofoten have with that beauty and that danger is the oldest relationship in these islands. After every storm in Lofoten, the light comes. Not metaphorically, literally. The Norwegian Sea washes the air clean. The clouds break, and the low sun catches the wet rock and the still dark water, and the snowfields above the clouds, and everything, simultaneously, catches fire. There is a Norwegian word that visitors to Lofoten encounter without being told what it means. They encounter it in the behavior of the people who live here, in the way they move, in the way they look at things, in the way they stop, genuinely stop, without self-consciousness. To watch the light on the mountain. The word is Friluftsliv. It translates approximately as open-air life. But like words from other cold places in this series, the translation misses everything important. Friluftsliv is not about outdoor activities. It is about the understanding that the natural world, the world of weather and light and season, is not separate from daily life. It is daily life. In Lofoten, this is not a philosophy. It is a geographical fact. You cannot live in Lofoten and be indifferent to the weather. The weather will not allow it. The landscape demands attention. And the people who live here have learned, as people always learn when they live long enough with something extraordinary, that extraordinary and ordinary are not opposites. They are what happens when you stay somewhere long enough to know it in all its moods, the storm and the calm, the darkness and the midnight sun. Home is not the place that is always beautiful. Home is the place you know in all its weathers. So, if you have found a moment of peace in these islands, if you have felt the scale of the mountains that rise from the sea, then perhaps there is a place for you here, in this community we are building. This was Lofoten, another chapter in our journey across the world's most extraordinary maps. If you want to see where we go next, please subscribe to the map. Join us as we continue to explore the places where nature still speaks the loudest. Thank you for watching, and we will see you at the next coordinate.